Greetings and salutations. I hope everyone's having themselves a mighty fine day. Please like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell of dawn so the ghost of the 13-month series doesn't get you and you can stay notified. I wanted to get this out to you guys a little earlier, but when I went to my girl's house, I forgot my mic. I forgot my laptop charger. I forgot so many things. So it's coming to you a little late. A lot of stuff is going to go on Patreon after this video drops, but before I kind of dived into the nitty gritty and the various topics from the 6 chapters we got of the side story or spin-off of Tower of God, Urek Mazino's Ascent, whatever you want to call it, or Tower of God, Urek Mazino, I want to talk about it in a general sense and how I felt about it, and just kind of give you guys my, first impressions and quick thoughts on how good it is. So first and foremost, I want to say that I thoroughly enjoyed this. Like, if you probably averaged out my scores that I gave for each chapter, it'd be no lower than an 8.5, but probably not higher than a 9. I gave it 2 10s, the first and the last chapter, and then I don't think I gave anything lower than an 8.5. I'm very impressed by this. First of all, I thought the artwork was really good. We haven't had too many crazy action sequences or action-packed moments, but one of the things that I truly appreciated about these 6 chapters so far, and what we're going to be and what we'll keep doing as we read this, my honest guess is we'll get about 14 to 20, 22 chapters max of this. I don't think we're going to get like an abundance of Urek Mazino. We're going to kind of montage it, but it feels like a return to basics, but remixed, like a different twist on the initial climb, which I found to be extremely refreshing. I cannot speak for everyone else, but when it comes to me, one of the things that truly lured me to Tower of God and kept me very invested were the games, the tests, the examinations that the administrators and or the high rankers and rankers give the regulars. I harp on Hansung Yu's examination so hard because it's one of those tests that literally wouldn't have mattered if you had the power to blow up the entire floor. I always use the example, I could have been a Kryptonian. I could have been Superman. I came into the tower. So I'm in a regular, plus being Kryptonian. I got heat vision, super strength, invulnerability, flight, amongst other things. But if I did not choose a door in 5 minutes, I would have lost that test. How strong I was wouldn't have mattered, and I found that to be brilliant. And a lot of the times, since the rankers can't go all out against the regulars, if they're participating in the test, what they'll do is give the regulars other win conditions, and sometimes not even necessarily the rankers doing it. Think Dana Zahard. When Bam fought him, he could have beaten him by just breaking the 3 orbs and not straight up winning in a combat situation. So I have very much appreciated these tests. I thought flip it or turn it with the GOAT that was eating people if you didn't do it properly, the kind of test to kind of create your team that was based on division and trust was brilliant. Now I want to talk about Mazino a little bit because I thought that following him was very interesting. I'm not going to go so far right now, even though I know how I feel about it, to say that he's a better MC to follow than Bam. I think Bam at the very beginning of Tower of God was actually expertly handled, and I think he was handled very well up until really season 3, where I started to have big issues. However, I think solely due to the fact that Urek Mazino is much more proactive in his life and his goals and his ambitions, it just comes across so different. Bam is very kind of timid to himself, meek, and not nearly as powerful off the jump that Mazino is, and thus he's constantly reacting to things and kind of doing it after the fact, where Mazino will be like, what do you mean I have to kill somebody? I don't want to kill him. How about I just fight that ranker in that cube? Come down here and fight me. Like, he takes initiative. He takes control of his destiny. He doesn't really like let it happen. And I find that to be a very refreshing and fascinating in its own right. Again, not saying it's better or worse, just different. Now, the whole shining ones or luminous ones concept to me is very intriguing, because I don't know how everyone else has seen it so far, but how I'm looking at it presently is it almost seems to me like, as a luminous one, Urek Mazino's importance, destiny, and fate and overall role in the narrative has nothing to do with the actual Tower of God series. I think when Hadon said, you don't need to be in here, this is someone who should never open the tower, I kind of think he meant it because he said it in his head. even though he let him in regardless, because if you challenge the tower, you're allowed in. Does this have to do with him being a Luminous one? I'm not entirely sure, but the fact that the entire universe started off with pure darkness, and the darkness was seen as order, control, never ending, never changing, never moving, and then bright lights shined, creating the luminous ones, creating life, creating time, creating movement, that was seen as generally chaotic to the primordial darkness, if you will. So that primordial darkness, which I think is a force, a kind of a living force, created Phantominum, which is different from the lore that we got from him. We'll speak about that in great detail in another video, but it was his job to kind of correct this by taking out the luminous ones. He turned them all into VVS diamonds and started wearing them and saying, I'm dipped in butter, I'm shining, I'm glistening. I'm like, okay, that's kind of fire, but he didn't go back. Anyways, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I never really knew why Mazino followed this dude into the tower, but it almost seems like it is literally a part of his destiny to fight Phantominum. Phantominum is the order, the ultimate being of darkness, and he is, I guess, the current only or last luminous one who can oppose this. And I think that's way more interesting than I just want to fight somebody strong and follow him into the tower. He's actually connected their destinies and stories in a way that I think was actually really awesome. So kudos to that. Seeing him flex his physical abilities and powers of the outside is really interesting, but he still doesn't know Shinsu. He still can't use Shinsu, though he knows there's some type of power system in this tower that's different from what he does on the outside. He's also even had a line saying that he can show you the power of the outside, and I don't know if that means the outside of the tower has its own power source, magic system, if you will, or kind of like, you know, energy that's like Shinsu but different. And he's also nerfed. Something about the tower being in darkness was nerfing him, because he said his powers were gradually coming back. So even though he's coming to the tower extremely monstrous, it's not 100%, which is very, very intriguing. So I'm very excited to see what happens when he faces this ranker in the crown game. I have him winning, but I have him winning after somehow grasping some basic Shinsu philosophies like body reinforcement or something of the sort. He is now. Do you guys think that the Ray Barracuda, him being able to throw Shinsu at the speed of light, takes on a different meaning and connotation now, because we know he's a luminous one, a being of pure light or born of light? And do you guys think that shining ones can like have kids or have offsprings? And how come this luminous one was born so far after the other ones were destroyed? Like, there's just so much you really got to think about and consider here when we're analyzing this. But yeah, man, the Princess of Zahard getting packed up because he didn't want to work with her was funny, because we kind of see him as this like not necessarily a full-on simp, but he don't get no bitches, right? And you would think because he already called her beautiful and averted his eyes from her gaze when he initially saw her or really looked at her, you would think, okay, he will let her in his group because she looks good. No, he marches to the beat of his own drums. But now I have a lot more videos coming out, so even though I said I wanted to talk about various things in a general sense, I'm sure there's a few that I'm missing right now, but we'll put a cap in it for now and come back full circle later, just because I want to talk about the various specific things like Mazino's power and what it means to be a luminous one, the lore change behind Phantominum, and do Axis still really exist, and what does this mean for the grander Tales user story universe. I think it's very fascinating. So stay tuned, y'all. Join the Patreon. If you're not on the Patreon, you're going to want to be there. I'm going to have so many videos up there by the end of today for early access, and some of those videos will be only for my patrons. There's a tier 3, 2, and 1 pledge. $3, $6, $12 Canadian CAD. You guys be safe. Let me know how you guys felt about these 6 chapters so far, and let's keep going, man. Let's keep climbing on up. We have been bleeding numbers and pledgers over the last few months. I really need your guys' help and support on the Patreon, but for everyone who's here, I greatly appreciate it. Shout out to the CBLs. That's the Certified BAM lovers. Also, a huge shout out to the Priests of Fire, 2nd tier. Best Billith gang. Could be the real CBLs. And a huge shout out to tier 3, the 5th Zen Gods. Shout out to Big Chief Gray. Johnny Rogers, Ketan, Lucky Roo, Muzaka, Scobe, Simi, Zyler Scotty, Big Abdel, Agrona Vitera, your support is greatly appreciated. The other day, I was able to eat some sugared grass that was frozen like popsicles. We moving on up, people. We eating good now.